many times. So when I told you that loving you almost makes life worth it, I was not joking. When I tell you that loving you almost makes me forget how much I hate myself, it is not poetry. Loving you is taking all the love I could never give myself and putting it to good use. It is reminding myself that if someone can love a dying thing this way, can hold the Lazarus of my body and give thanks for the way it holds back, if someone can kiss the scars, administer the pills, absorb the bad days, and wake up smiling next to me, then I can try to breathe again. Because self-love does not always come first, or second, or even ever. But your love be the guardrail on the ledge, be the drawers that hide all the sharp things, be the body that carries my collapsed frame into bed, be the flowers.
Developing your poetic voice comes in many forms, but it's also about watching and listening to other poetic voices. They come in so many sounds, inflections, deliveries. It means there is no wrong selection in finding what fits for you. What up, peeps? I'm Greg the Sunflower Poet, spoken word artist, author of several books, mental health advocate, etc. Welcome to my channel. In this video, part 2 of finding your poetic voice, I'm going to talk about inspirations and influences. Some of my favorite poets I have recommended reading, and then resources as far as how I shape my voice, along with journaling, which is how I got my start. And hopefully this inspires you to go back and discover your poetic voice using these different techniques. If you haven't watched part one was the foundation of starting. So I recommend you go back, watch the video, and then get into this one, part 2. And in the meantime, let's get into finding your poetic voice. So let's get into recognizing literary influences. One thing I do and continue to do is read, attend events, connect with other poets, not just poets, but other creatives, artists, musicians, theater. It's really all connected. For the knowledge portion, but also for self-improvement. And it really develops my pen with the influences. To me, poetry is influential because of its messaging, relatability, and formative displays. And there's also poets that are authors too, so when you hear their voice and read their books, it tends to make the connection stronger than my personal opinion. A lot of my influences range from poets like Maya Angelou, James Baldwin, Young Pueblo, Kwame Alexander, Tupac Shakur, Gil Scott, Heron, to New San Francisco, Black Chakra, Ephraim, Nehemiah, Lexx, Unapologetically, Lyric Hunter, and so much more. I didn't name it, but it is so much talent out there. So let's take a look at some of my inspirations, a few teasers of their performances. Links to leave in the description if you want to watch the entire thing. First up, let's get into Ephraim, Nehemiah, Baltimore Poets.
Battle rap from the prison industrial complex. When you're in 3rd grade, that's when your test scores start to determine your future. That's why I always watch. Asking myself how close your grades to failing. I pray they always drop. Because the ones who do the worst and the attention they always got. In my school, the prison pipeline, why you think my school's got cops? You don't got fathers, it's cool, just call me pops. Your future look like cell doors, close walls, guards that don't follow rules, calling shots. Ain't no starting over when you move wrong. This ain't a TikTok. Kids be getting groomed to be behind bars since they was born. That's why they don't know how to think outside the box.
Powerful, influential, poetic voice. And 45 seconds wasn't enough to hear this. But I recommend you go and watch this in its entirety. Let's move on to my next influence. I'll just say the reason that I like Ephraim, Nehemiah, he is performative, like an actor. I saw he has an acting theater background, and so it translates extremely well. And so shout out to him. A lot of his videos, a lot of his performances I've watched, all of them have been next level. Recommend y'all tap in with that. So let's get into Philadelphia poet Lexx, Unapologetically.
After Maya Angelou. Do you know why the caged bird sings? Trick question. Birds don't sing, they screech in pain, and the reason they scream has nothing to do with their cage. It's rage. From pain sustained with age, as time goes on, the memories don't fade, they stay. Continuing to replay over and over and over again, and sometimes the bird becomes a prisoner, being held captive by its own freedom, because the bird puts too much value on how it thinks people want it to be free. The irony of being locked down while holding the key, and feel that singing really be the only way for its release. So instead of being free, it just captivates the crowd, all the while you just see a poet being still in a pit.
So I found what's interesting in my choices that I made with the influences in their pieces, like it's very connected to similar topics. But shout out to Lexx Unapologetically. Like, she's great. I've seen a few of her performances online and on Instagram. I always think of Rhapsody, Songbird, and Cage from the album, which, we'll listen to that song also, but it reminds me of this one on top of, she's talking about Maya Angelou, which is one of my, goats, greatest of all time for poets. One of my greatest influences. I talk about it in part one. So, shout out to Lexx. And then let's go into this last influence that I really relate to.
Our yesterdays and digging through the rubble. And to say the least, somebody went to a hell of a lot of trouble to make sure that when we looked things up, we wouldn't fare too well, and we would come up with totally unreliable pictures of ourselves. But I've compiled what few facts I could, such as they are, to see if we could find out a little bit of something, and this is what I got so far. First, white folks discovered Africa. They claimed it fair and square. Cecil Rhodes couldn't have been robbing nobody because, hell, there wasn't nobody there. The white folks brought all the civilization because there wasn't none around. How could the folks be civilized when wasn't nobody writing nothing down? And just to prove all of their suspicions, well, didn't take too long.
Gil, Scott, Heron. What can I say? I wanted to play this whole thing, but we're already 11 minutes in. I recommend you go watch this. This is so powerful. Like, just within that first minute, it's a lot deep. He's a great He's an artist, musician, activist. I really enjoy his work. I could go on and on. Like, if you don't listen to anything else from this video, Scott Heron is somebody you need to go through his catalog and watch his recent I don't want to say recent, but the documentary Black Wax. It's amazing. I'll just leave it at that. But the overall point of this section is basically tapping into literary influences that in order to develop yours, and it may not necessarily be how they sound, but it can be what they say, what they sound like, what they say, things that they say, how they say it, and not necessarily imitation, but taking inspiration from it. Now, let's get into reading to develop your style. All right. So, we're in the age of instant and things are readily available. So, reading may not necessarily be an encouraged thing, depending on the social media and the type of things that you consume. But I highly recommend that you continue to read as much as possible, develop your style. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to stay in the genre of poetry. I truly believe your art is a reflection of yourself or something. So the first book I want to recommend is Start With Why by Sinek. You can obviously get a lot of these books on Amazon, from the internet, your local library. I encourage that. And this one, I really enjoyed it. A leadership book, just because of the fact that why is a word that answers a lot of questions. That is a question that really provides a lot of answers that you need. So, with your poetry, with your voice, why is the first question you should ask yourself. The next recommendation that I have is Kwame Alexander. His book, Why Fathers Cry at Night. So I do some affirmations for men's mental health, and I read a lot of books related to that topic, or at least something along those lines. And reading this book really made me feel like I understood a little bit more about the psychology. The pieces were beautiful. It talks about the man, the father, the military man, and it gives you so much perspective, especially as a woman. Variety is key here. As an artist, you don't need to be one-dimensional to be an artist. Highly recommend this read. And let's see. And the last recommendation that I'll make is, I'm a bit biased here, but one of my brothers, he's a self-published author on top of a publisher. Like, he has a lot in his bag as far as what he does. And one book that I want to recommend is, just get a bit of call. Let's see. Is Acting on Your Dreams and Visions. And this book here is written by Kofi, Piesie, Sean Polidore, and Ashley Wade, Dr. Ashley Wade. Three people that I connected with, very inspirational. I recommend go to Instagram, go to YouTube, follow them, connect with them. But unbiased opinion, this book really helps give a sense of direction, and it's also like about supporting the non mainstream creatives, they have gifts just as much to share with the world and should be shared with the world, just like anybody else. So I thought that this book was really great. It is great. www.samefreedifferentbrandpublishing.com is where you can find the book. And the last segment of this series is journaling. So journaling is how I got my start, and I title my entries as Memorable Lessons. Sometimes I go back and read through the answer to remind myself of progress. Use some journal prompts to consider in order to get started your journey. Whether you write it in your phone, on a piece of paper, or in your computer. What am I grateful for today? What is my intention for today? What is something I want to let go of or hold on to? Journaling turns you, helps you connect your emotions with yourself, and in turn that helps to connect to your art. A lot of your art is to, explain of yourself, like you are the art, like you create the art. I recommend that it starts with looking inside. So that is the last segment of finding your poetic voice, discovering your poetic influences, and shape your voices. This is part 2 of the series. And this is my favorite portion of the series thus far, because this is my favorite part of the series thus far, because influence is like getting to pay homage with their flowers, which is why it is so important to seek out the information, the influencers, the musicians, the creatives, because you discover the variations of this art form. Read the books. I've shared some of my favorites, which are going to be listed in the description. Libraries, audiobooks, find your favorites, and journaling, which is art, therapy, or helpful in writing. Try the prompts and see how it helps. It helped me. Stay tuned for part 3 of this series, Finding Your Poetic Voice. And make sure that you like and subscribe and comment to this on this post, to this channel for more creative, inspirational series like this. In the meantime, thanks for watching.